Someone asked me, where did you get the idea for Home Time? So I thought I'd make a video of just the writing process for going into Home Time, the TV series we're releasing about one episode a month, up through 6 episodes. So 2 are out right now, so check them out if you haven't. And this is just a quick story about the writing process of how Home Time came to be. So I'm an aspiring writer, essentially a writer that doesn't get paid or even have his work read most of the time. So I'm writing TV specs for existing shows to enter fellowships, that kind of thing. I'm writing screenplays, shorts, sometimes writing sketches, and I'm writing original pilots. So most times when I'm writing, I have no belief that, or even hope that most of what I'm writing will be produced. Most of it will barely be read by anyone other than myself. So it's writing for practice, trying to create opportunities. Hopefully, get staffed writing for a TV show. That's the idea. So I'm not, when I'm writing these things, I'm not thinking it's going to be produced. With some exceptions. Sometimes I will write something trying to with hopes that I will be able to produce it. So when I'm writing like that, I'm thinking more about budget, which for me it's usually just about nothing. So I'm thinking about limited locations, or what locations do I have access to, uh, keeping the cast manageable, keeping, all the practical things that'll make it easier to actually produce something. So when it came to writing Home Time, it wasn't an idea that just came to me, which is sometimes the case. An idea will just kind of come from seemingly nowhere. This wasn't more, I sat down and I said, okay, I want to do a sitcom to showcase my writing in something visual people can actually see. So it's not just another script nobody's reading. So I want to do a sitcom. What's a genre staple? The family sitcom. Now you don't. I didn't want to just go make a show that was exactly like Big Bang Theory or exactly like Family Ties. Not just because I can't do better than what exists already with your traditional family sitcom show. I'm not going to have the budget, the time, the great sets, all that stuff. So I really intended to come at it sideways from the beginning. Um, it has think cult TV. If When I go back and I watch old British shows like Beasts or Monty Python, um, I'm not part of the charm of it is the production values aren't Hollywood level. I used to watch this great Jamaican sitcom you can find on YouTube, Oliver. Part of the charm of it is the low rent sets and the rough around the edges of it. So I said, okay, so I'm going to make a family sitcom, going to come at it sideways. It'll obviously be low budget. I'll make that work to my benefit. Limited locations, even within the house. Most 90% of the show, 99% of the show takes place in this house. So what locations do I have, and then just write to that. And then I thought about thematic stuff. What would I want to say in a family sitcom that would make it different and unique? So I thought about things that are important to me, like ideas of anti-capitalism and just the coming crisis the world's seeing with the environment, and basically everything seemingly is collapsing in all around of us. And a lot of people feel like they're living in the end times. So I said, okay, well, what would happen to a family sitcom that was going through that? So I had my overarching my backdrop that was set against, and then I also built in a drama to it of dad's trying to the conflicts generated from something dad's done in the past, and the fact that he wants to escape every episode. So it gives you some dramatic conflict for each episode. So I wrote the pilot thinking all these things through, and I actually had the ending that you'll see in episode 6. in mind and was going to have it in the pilot, but the pilot wrote very fast, and there wasn't the space to get up to that ending. So my original intention was write this pilot, produce just the pilot, and that's it. But I didn't want it to be something where I make this pilot and people don't see the resolution to the larger story. And I was thinking about it more, and it's making this show wasn't just about, you know, proving to myself that I could write and produce and essentially show run a sitcom. It was also trying to get that experience that I'm looking for in my career, because you can teach yourself writing, sitting and writing scripts and spec scripts and original pilots all day long, and have these things unproduced, and that'll give you some idea of what it's like to be a professional writer, the writing side of it. But there's a lot more to it than that. The dynamic of working in a writer's room, TV writing in general. And I know enough from the outside to know that I'm missing that huge component of my career development. So I said, okay, I want to tell a much bigger story, so let's expand it. And I said, you know, I told myself I'm the showrunner of this show, so let's go for a 6-episode limited series and tell the whole story. And you know, I came up with a quick premise for what each episode would look like, and the idea started to excite me at this point, because it not only has a full arc and a complete story of this one family living, you know, through the end times pretty much, but it has a resolution, and the story was enriched by those middle beats that I thought of. They're essentially repetitions of the same theme and you know, kind of sequence of events. They're all echoes and shadows of the same conflict each episode, based on these premises. So I had a kind of a quick 2-line premise for 4 episodes, and a finished pilot, and an idea for and an outlined 6th concluding episode. So then I said, you know, I knew that I wanted to have a show running experience beyond just producing a pilot episode. So I reached out to 12 people and invited them to see if, kind of told them the idea, and reached out to see if they'd be interested in forming a writer's room and actually writing this thing. And I knew some people wouldn't be able to do it, some people might not want to do it. So I figured that that number of 12 would kind of be whittled down. And then I figured if we had more than 4 writers, because I wanted to write the last episode as well, that I could do writing teams and team people up. So I just said to friends and people I know who've everyone whose work I had read and had an understanding and had some idea that this would be something they might be interested in, reached out and said, hey, do you want to run with me on this crazy idea? I'm going to make this show, and I'm putting together a writer's room for it. And 4 people at the end of the day were able to do it, and that worked out perfectly, because we had, other than the 2 bookend episodes, we had 4 episodes in between. And so I call it the writer's room. Everyone had the pilot to read. I kind of told people where it was heading, and then I had a kind of a quick pitch for each episode, and invited people to, you know, take it in another direction if they wanted. We had certain limitations of locations and cast and things like that, but and then I did give some of the stories a few beats, so they knew kind of where the story had to end up and go. And it was great. Everyone had a good turnaround on their scripts. We had opportunity to critique and give notes on each other's scripts, and None of the episodes went through extensive rewrites. They were pretty close in tone and dialogue and character consistency with the pilot, and I was really happy with all of the scripts. So a few tweaks here and there, but largely what we shot and what you'll see in the final edit is extremely close to the actual scripts. In fact, if you go on my website, jaredhodgson.com, you'll see you can read the script for the first episode of Home Time up there, and it's pretty exact to what you see on screen. So it was for a first time show running experience, it was actually extremely easy. Not a lot of hitches, and I hope that everyone got out of it what I said we'd get out of it, which is, someone who hasn't had that professional job yet in a writer's room. We kind of created our own and practiced at it. So I might do another follow-up videos about productions and stuff, but I thought it might be interesting for you to see if you were curious about where that idea come from. That's where this was one of those ideas that didn't fall from the sky. I very much forced it out of myself based on goals I had for my own experience and career development. So let me know if you have any other questions, and when I do another kind of behind the scenes video of Home Time, I will do my best to answer it.